magic, madness, heaven, sin. Saw you there and I thought, oh my God, look at that face. You look like my next mistake. Love's a game, wanna play. New money, suit and tie. I can read you like a magazine. Ain't it funny? Rumors fly, and I know you heard about me. So hey, let's be friends. I'm dying to see how this one ends. Grab your passport and my hand. I can make the bad guys good for a weekend. So it's gonna be forever, or it's gonna go down in flames. You can tell me when it's over, if the high was worth the pain. Got a long list of ex-lovers, they'll tell you I'm insane. 'Cause you know I love the players, and you love the game. 'Cause we young and we're
Well, hello there, and welcome to another Second Life Book Club. My name is Draxtor Dupre, and today on the show, you won't believe it, our first professional comedian. The show was hosted, in case you didn't notice, by an amateur wannabe comedian for almost 3 years. Ginny Hogan is in the house. She's also an
Oh,
author. She's hold on, Ginny. You're still hidden back in the behind the camera, and nobody knows that you're
no.
actually here.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
Um,
okay, I won't say anything.
So Ginny is not only a comedian, she's also an author of, as far as I know, 2 books, but we'll find out the details. She's also a writer, contributing writer in many prestigious publications like The New Yorker and McSweeney's, and some rather not prestigious publications like The Atlantic. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Today we will focus on her book with the following title: I'm more dateable than a plate of refried beans and other romantic observations, and we will find out what that title actually means. Welcome, Ginny. Now you're on camera. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's so great to be here.
It's so good having you. And I just realized looking at the monitor behind me is a really, really scary snake, and we have a lot of scary avatars here. Are you afraid? Are you afraid of Second Life or being here in this world? Have you heard bad things about it?
I have not heard bad things. I mean, I think most of what I know
You
is from
heard
that
nothing
Atlantic article.
about it because nobody cares. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I read that Atlantic article. I do think it was rude, a lot of it, but I also learned a lot, and I wouldn't have known much about Second Life without it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so happy to be here. This is really cool. Thank you for
N-
making me an avatar also with this cool hat.
Yeah, this avatar is the hat that you wore in one of your promo shots, or maybe it was on vacation. And Isabel,
Yes.
who is running audio and video today, she actually made this avatar. I think it looks absolutely splendid. Now, before we get into all this stuff, let's go right to the meat. Actually, we go backwards here. The superficial stuff comes later. First, why this title? I'm more dateable than a plate of refried beans. You probably had to answer this question a million times, but please explain what that means. What is behind this title? It's pretty hilarious. And you
Yeah.
actually did that, I imagine, right?
Yeah, so one of the pieces in the story is like an analytical approach to me kind of figuring out whether or not I'm more dateable than a plate of refried beans. I do some data analysis using Tinder Smart Photos. And
Yeah.
so the title came from that. But originally the book was titled Dating is Ruining My Love Life, which I thought was like kind of like a funny tongue-in-cheek title, but then we couldn't use it because it was being used by a self-help book. That was like an earnest exploration of why data is ruining someone's love life.
Oh
So we
my
had
God.
to change the title. Hence, we got I'm
Was
more
that
dateable
written
than
by
a plate of
Jordan
refried.
Peterson? No, probably not.
Probably, truly, probably. Yeah.
So you changed the title, but you did basically you wanted to find out if a photo that you took of refried beans was getting more good swipes. And I'm saying this like the boomer I am, because I don't even know how dating apps work. Can you explain a little bit what you actually did here with these refried beans? And while you're doing this, I'm putting up a slide here on the overhead projector um, of refried beans. These are traditional refried beans on Amazon, 12 cans, 1 pound pack of 12, currently
Yummy.
unavailable, unfortunately.
Oh wow,
Uh,
are we prepping for another pandemic? The beans are unavailable?
yeah, I looked on Amazon today, they're unavailable.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's pretty scary. So I'll tell you what I did. It's using a feature of Tinder that I'm not sure still exists. I haven't used Tinder recently, but basically the idea is that on Tinder you can use this feature called Smart Photos, which will compare how your different photos perform and lead with the one that gets the most like clicks on it, basically. And so I figured, and it'll tell you which one it's gonna lead with. So I figured that if I sort of like did a I used to be a data scientist, and if I ran a controlled study where I compared pictures of me to pictures of refried beans, and then kept track of which ones the app led with, I would have a like numbers to prove whether or not I was more dateable than a plate of refried beans. Of course, it was kind of a joke study, but you do get numbers from Tinder if you run an experiment enough times. So if I like each time you just know whether your picture does better than the beans, but if you do that over like many days, you'll collect some data and you can
Right.
like draw some assumptions. So that's kind of where that particular piece came from, and that was in McSweeney's many years ago. But it was also in the book, and hence its name became the title of the whole book.
Absolutely fascinating. I had no idea that you actually have some background in that data science, and this is, I mean, this is hilarious when I read this. Oh, let me also say that Angelica here in the audience says the Ortega brand of refried beans is better than the old
I
El Paso. And
believe it.
I don't know, I'm not an expert. Also, Shadow, who is a snake here, he asks, are there any snakes in the book?
I don't think there are snakes in the book, but I
No.
wouldn't bet my life on it. Like if I might have referenced a snake at one point, but I can't off the top
Yeah.
of my head think of it.
I don't know. I read it pretty carefully. I mean, there's a reference to infinite jest in there, which I'm not sure if you
Yeah.
say this in a very derogatory way. My pal David Foster, well, not my pal, but my idol, my god,
You
the
love
god of,
DFW?
yeah, I do. And I know it's a joke that a lot of people that sort of that David Foster Wallace is, or Infinite Jest in particular, is the book that stands on many bookshelves of like 22-year-old pretentious men to impress everybody, including their dates, I guess. Why is Infinite okay, why is Infinite Jest? Why, Ginny, what is that reference? Why do you hate it? It's my favorite book.
Oh, I actually like Infinite Jest. I've read it.
You're the
I'm
first
also
woman actually that likes it that I met.
um yeah, no, I do enjoy it. It's just I think that the type of guy who likes it just like gets exclusively into Infinite Jest and doesn't like I feel like there's just this like honestly I think it's like one of those things where David Foster Wallace gets kind of like destroyed by the people who like him.
Yeah.
Like they give him a bad rap. That said, I
Yes,
do think
absolutely.
there's like a lot like he's someone who people kind of just like blindly follow without acknowledging that he's ever like done bad things, which I feel like kind of creates complications for him. So like or like for his reputation, like people just I feel like people he has so many diehard fans who will just be like, he can do no wrong, and it's like that's not that helpful, you know.
You're absolutely right. And I don't want to get too much into the weeds because people go like, wait a minute, Draxter, I came here to learn about dating, or find a date here at the book club, a snake or otherwise, and you're talking about Infinite Jest again. Shut up. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. And snake, Shadow, you got to read the book and you'll find out if there's snakes there. I don't think there are, but there's a lot of other really cool things. Dodger in the audience says most dating app innovations since Katie Notopoulos and the pig with poo. I don't know what you're referencing. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Ka Katie
Yeah.
Notopoulos and the pig. Do you know what he means, Jenny?
Oh, I don't, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I'd love to know.
Please elaborate, Dodger. We'll pick it up. Now the pre-roll music for the YouTube pre-roll had Taylor Swift's Blank Space, very, very famous song apparently. I stopped listening to new music back in 1985, so I don't know. But tell us what Taylor Swift and that song Blank Space has to do with your funeral that you envisioned, Ginny?
Oh, I just feel like I love that song because I think it's like it just really captures this feeling of like, yeah, I've run through so many men. Like there've just been so many of them, but I keep going, and every time a new one comes, I have like a blank space. And so at my funeral, I imagine all of the men who've ever filled the blank spaces coming to kind of mourn me.
That is nice. You know, this is a
Yeah.
the and they're carrying your coffin, right?
Yes, they're carrying my coffin, because that's, they got to do something for me. Like at the end of the day, I've been let down so many times, and some man somewhere I feel should like do something nice for me. Even
This
if
is the
all it
best
means
that
is
the
a
man ever did for you.
yes, yeah, even if it's just at the end of my life carrying my coffin, like I'll take it.
You know, this is really weird. A quick aside, but I used to play in a band with an American drummer, Fred Braceful, back before I went to the US in Munich. And Fred Braceful in the 70s, he played with a lot of avant-garde people, and then he came to Germany and he stuck around. He was a bus driver by day, but still playing. Look him up. And his funeral, he died in '95, and it was really weird because there was literally I maybe I'm exaggerating, but there were at least 8 women.
Yeah.
But he also fathered children with these women, and they all got along. It was strange. They were all at peace. They all knew each other. So that was kind of a wonderful thing in a way that they didn't,
Nice, honestly, yeah.
got into fights at the funeral parlor. Could have happened.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Now,
Yeah.
the terminology, there's a lot of terminology in this book is really awesome. There's a lot of vignettes, a lot of really kind of cool segments. We're going to get into a lot of them, then a few short stories. You start with terminology, and some of the terminology I knew, but I am old, I am married, I used to date the old-fashioned way. um, I met my wife by asking my now wife if she could help me with a legal matter. Once a friend told me that she's a lawyer, and she said, "Who the f is this guy?" And she went away, but then it worked out in the end. But anyways, you have all these terms in the beginning of the book. So one term that people are aware of probably is the term subtweet. I put it here on the projector. Talking shit about someone on Twitter without saying their name. It sounds mean, but it's
Yeah.
often the only way to reach people. So, but in the date, can you give an example, like in the dating sense? How would that sort of manifest itself?
Okay, so I had an example of a man who was had a girlfriend who he hadn't told me about, and he like invited me to stay at his apartment without telling me that he had a girlfriend. And he so he then denied that this was wrong. And I felt like I had to tweet about how men like just won't ever tell anyone that they have a girlfriend when they're trying to get a woman to hang out with them. Like they'll just totally deny everything. And I felt like I really had to like kind of hammer this home via Twitter jokes about it, many of which like got a lot of likes for him to like realize that like other people accepted it too. Like he made it seem. I think the thing about Twitter is like once you put something on social media, like everyone can see it and like you can see how many people like it, which is how many people relate to it. So once like
Hmm.
there were like 10,000 people who liked a tweet, I was like, look, it's not just me. I'm not the only person who thinks this, and I felt like that
Ah,
was the only way to reach him. That's kind of what it is. It's like it's a communal experience so people know that they're not the only one who thinks something.
so but it's also then a survey. Then you go back to this particular guy and like, look, there is an issue here.
Yeah,
To
exactly.
to
Yeah,
prove
yeah,
your
yeah,
to
yeah.
so to prove your point with that particular person. So that's that might not be the main intent, but it's a nice like little add-on benefit from the subtweeting strategy.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm really learning. This is really wonderful.
Yeah.
Uh, Wait, Dodger specified here with the thing that he said earlier who that person was with Tinder, I guess, a journalist, Katie, what was her name? Katie Notopoulos. So she was a journalist that tested out a picture of a pig with shit on its balls on Tinder. Oh my God, we're gonna get banned on YouTube. To see if this picture would still get lewd messages as long as the profile said female. Aha. It apparently
Interesting.
did, and she was banned. And Dodger
That's
says she is his hero. Um,
really funny. Yeah.
Behind me is a big snake. That's our friend Shadow, of course. People are pointing this out on YouTube. Um, and Shadow says he is terrified of dating. And Ginny, you expressed this. This is a very candid book too. I mean, it's very funny, but there is a serious core to it. Would you say that you can you relate to someone who says to you in a very frank way that he or she is afraid of dating? Should we be I mean, I think it's very, very normal to be afraid of dating today in this digital age. And I'm not saying this, but saying that it was better the old-fashioned way, drunk in a bar. But the specific question, can you relate to someone who says he's terrified of dating?
I totally can. I mean, it's like one of the most vulnerable things a person can do, especially like online dating, to like choose photos of yourself and be like, these are the photos in which I think I look good, and this is how I want to represent myself to like all of these strangers and let them vote on me. Like it's a crazy thing to do, and it's
Yeah,
amazing anyone does it, and it's especially amazing that everyone does it. And I mean, I would say like if you're afraid of it, I think that's really normal. I think you don't have to do it. I think there's like this idea that everyone needs to be like trying to couple off, and anybody single needs to be like looking for a relationship, and I don't think that relationships make everybody happy. So I would say don't beat yourself up about it. Then again, like you can meet someone really nice, and I would just encourage you to remember that like the people online dating they're also afraid of it. Like no
that's
one
right.
is. The other people on the internet are terrified.
And it is scary, as you point out, the putting yourself on the marketplace. And I want to get a little bit into it because I have an issue with dating apps broadly, and I don't know the solution. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful things that they do, but one of the things that I find problematic is really that they kind of commodify and reduce relationships to a marketable commodity. But anyways, people know that I'm a Marxist. I mean, what can I do? The other term that I didn't
Yeah.
know is DTR, define the relationship, putting a label on a casual fling. Congrats, you're now
Yeah.
officially dating. So there's like a lot of different types of flings then that implies, yes?
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, you can define a relationship as like we are sleeping together exclusively, but we are not in a relationship. Or I don't know. There are just like so many ways to do it.
In my day, there was
And
only friends with benefits. That's the only.
definitely one of
Uh,
them. But now I feel like there's a level of the relationship that's like when you're talking to someone, like that's its own level, and like when you're just texting, and I am
ah,
kind of the opinion that like a lot of these things are like intended so that men can avoid anyone getting mad at them. Like they can say like, "Oh well, I didn't promise you this or that or whatever," and it's like I'm just gonna get mad if I get mad, and it's not really dependent on what you told me that you would do for me. You know, like it doesn't.
I
I don't really
see.
get mad as like a I don't analyze like how mad I have a right to be and then get that bad, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So you can
Um,
really just say, "Oh, I defined it differently in my head. Oh, did I forget to tell you how I defined it?" Kind of like that.
yeah, yeah. And it's like if you're shitty to someone, it doesn't really matter how you defined it, in my opinion. It's just kind of, you have to be respectful no matter. It's like everyone deserves respect.
Yeah, that seems to be a common thing that people may have forgotten. As opposed to the olden
Totally.
days, in the olden days when we were drunk at the bar. Okay, meet cute. What does meet cute mean? Meeting someone in a cute way, so at least you have a good story to tell your friends before the relationship inevitably goes up in flames. Meet
Yeah,
cute.
I mean, I'm very pessimistic about relationships. Meet cute is like anything where like it's not maybe anything that's like not online dating that could be kind of like a funny story. Like if you feel like the relationship itself is a good story, I feel like that's what a meet cute is.
Uh-huh. So nothing happened, but you're still sort of you're at least getting a story. This is most important to you, Ginny, as a stand-up comedian, I guess, where you can sort of justify, well, I wasted my time swiping left and right for 5 hours, but at least I got some material out of it.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly what it is. If anything that kind of can make it for a good story.
Jamanki says it depends upon what the definition of the word is. Wow, Jamanki, that's a good one. God, I don't have a rim shot sound. For God's sakes, that is good. And
One.
Pauline says der Keller in Berlin. Here in Second Life, we have 1920s Berlin, der Keller, where people role play 1920s style fashion and relationships and everything else and art and such. And I guess that's. Oh yeah, Pauline says there are many drunks there. Oh yeah, I know. Now, where was I? Okay, one quick other definition, and I thought my English was really pretty good. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we're here with Ginny Hogan. Ginny Hogan, I'm sorry. Book is I'm More Dateable Than a Plate of Refried Beans and Other Romantic Observations. Now out from what is the publisher Chronicle Books. Absolutely hilarious. Um, Here this chapter says how to keep it under control when your new partner turns out to be a broomstick in a trench coat. A broomstick in a
It
trench
happened.
coat. I don't know but I don't know what that means. What is a broomstick in a trench coat? Yeah, I've lived in America half my life. I don't know what it means. Explain.
I mean, like if your partner's hiding their identity and all they really are is a broomstick in a trench coat. That's what it means.
I need to make an avatar in Second Life that is a broomstick in a trench coat. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Now, the best line is, and I forgot the context, for a woman that goes up, that wakes up or gets up before dawn, she gets uh, surprisingly little done or something. But that is completely without context. Another line is that you could have read Lord of the Rings 5 times if you didn't swipe that much left and right on dating apps. Okay, now dating apps. They involve dating in the digital realm involves dating apps. The dating apps are fantastic. People know that I produce this program, Love Made in Second Life, where people meet in Second Life and they get together and they get married. There's also a dating app that we profiled recently called Thunder, a little bit of a Tinder clone. I'm throwing up some photos here from that episode. I signed up myself. Nobody was matched with me. We matched here. This was faked for the video where I was matched with Esmeralda. So that was not a real match. It was just for the video. But these furries, this furry met with this human on this dating app here within Second Life. And so the mechanics, that's where I learned a little bit of the mechanics of dating apps. But the problem with dating apps are, I mean, to me is this commodification. So Ginny, I mean, this is a little bit of the serious part. In a nutshell, what is the good and the bad for you of dating apps?
Um, the good is that you get like exposure to a lot more people than you would out in the real world, and the bad is I think what you said about the commodification. Like, I think there's like it becomes how to market yourself, and it also like because there are so many people on the apps, it doesn't feel like people really value their relationships as much, and I think
Yeah.
that sort of think that that's kind of the bad side is there's always like someone better out there.
Right. So they
It
really
can
treat
feel
it
that way.
like some sort of restaurant or a car or something.
Yeah, exactly. And like always looking over their shoulder for the better option, which I think is really depressing.
That is exactly how I experienced when I lived in LA. And my friend Katya, who I love dearly, but used to call me and say, "Hey, do you have any parties tonight?" Like, oh, and so like, yeah, I'm meeting with these guys. Okay, cool. I'll see you there. And then she would call 10 other people, and I understand that.
Yeah,
And then she was invited to a better party, and she didn't show up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is exactly it. It's just like everyone's always looking for a better date.
The resistor says sounds like love from a catalog. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It kind of devalues it. But here you mentioned, and this I didn't know, this is a dating app called Hinge. You mentioned that quite a few times throughout the
Yeah,
book.
Hinge is my favorite one. You've never heard of it? It's my favorite.
No. Listen, I've been
Um,
married for 21 years. When I tweeted like
yeah.
I need dating advice, my wife looked over the shoulder and says, "Is there something you need to tell me?" And said, "No, I'm prepping for a show." But what is Hinge? So Hinge says their
Listener
line is
likes
the
it.
dating app designed to be the leader. Yeah, go ahead.
Hinge is like, I just feel like everyone's kind of on it. They emphasize serious relationships. Obviously, not everyone on Hinge is looking for that, but yeah, I feel like it's like a good, like it's people act kind of normally on it. I think they do a good job of recommending you people you already like. I just think it's like, it doesn't, to me it's kind of generic, like, which I like. It doesn't have a reputation for being just one thing or the other. So I think it's a good one.
But why? What are they doing better? I mean, we're not here to analyze these dating apps. We're here to talk about the book. But what is fascinating? Why do you think that Hinge is not falling into the trap? I mean, it has to do with how they run this platform, I guess. That the relationships are not so easily commodified and devalued as on the other ones.
I think it's just like network effects where like if other people are behaving kind of more normally on them, then enough people will that like it's kind of, you get shamed if you're too rude on it or people don't want to match with you, and then like the
Hmm.
algorithm pushes your profile down. So I feel like they're doing something to get people to act more normally, I guess.
Very good point. It could really be that network effect, that sort of self. I don't know. The community is sort of self-governing in the sense and creating
Yeah.
a vibe because only good people are hanging out there.
And if your
Kind of
algorithm
like
like is
Second
gonna,
Life. It's kind of like Second Life where only good people hang out unless you read a certain Atlantic article where you get a different impression. But I digress. Sorry, Ginny, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
um like just, yeah, that I think it's, yeah, if people want to get their profiles ranked highly, so if an algorithm works well, then it kind of, it enforces certain kinds of behavior and shuts down others.
Right. Now, where was I? Oh, this is hilarious. Yeah, we need to get into this Roomba thing. People know what the Roomba is, I suppose. If they don't know, this is a robotic vacuum cleaner. It's been around for quite some time now. Here's a picture of, I think, late model Roomba. Here is a picture that I got off the internet of the Roomba with a dog. Actually, if you Google Roomba, you find a lot of pictures with Roomba and a dog. And here is a picture of a Roomba with a child. This is actually a charging station. What? The Roomba also figures in your book quite prominently. Why?
I think they're just like funny, like in a way they're kind of
You
like
are obsessed with Roombas like I'm obsessed with Miele vacuum cleaners. I get into discussion Miele versus Dyson.
um yeah, I just like it because it's so funny. It like you it bounces off the walls and there's this like frenetic energy to it that can almost feel like what dating is. You know, like there's some, I don't know, it's just like Rubas. I think they feel like they have a mind of their own. That's what makes them funny to me. Is like they're these objects that feel like they got, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I am unnecessarily obsessed with Roombas, but I like them a lot.
So the Roomba figures in many little vignettes here where it's either like let me use your Roomba or do you have a Roomba? I wonder if you I mean honestly you can be honest, it's just me and you. Have you ever on a dating app when you got into a nice conversation with someone you thought like this guy is above the fray, he's good, you don't lead with like, hey, do you happen to have a Roomba? No, right? when
No,
does
but if
when
I
does
go back
that
to
come?
someone's apartment, I think it's if I go back to their apartment and they have a Roomba, I need information. I want to know more about it. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
here
I
is, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
love a Roomba.
You don't have one
I
yourself.
just think they're, no, I don't. It's almost like my life isn't yet good enough for me to have I need to get a few more things set up before I can go out and find my Roomba, you know?
Dodger says in the local chat, there's a club I go to 40% just because they keep a Roomba with a cat on the dance floor. Oh, and you mean in Second Life? I think I've been there. That's hilarious. There are Room. Oh, I should have gotten a Roomba here. There's one on Marketplace. Somebody buy it and put it out. Um, Here I put this up on the slide projector. Ignore dating app. Red flags. This
Yeah.
is just one example that is just hilarious. So here, somebody says something, and you give advice how to ignore this. So the red flag, for example, is they say, "I'm not looking for anything serious" in their bio. So this is a red flag. And how to ignore it? You'll change them. You're into DIY. I mean, this is hilarious, Ginny, because when you're getting older, I mean, I have a lot of examples that are, in a sense, tragic, where a good friend of mine never wanted kids, and his girlfriend always wanted kids. And I said to him 20 years ago, this is you will not convince the other person. And
Right.
and they're a
It's
little
easy.
miserable, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy to believe that you will, like it's just so it's so tempting to believe that you will. And it's so hard to find someone you connect to that it feels um more fun to just like if you find someone you connect to for other reasons, you're like, of course I'll convince them that they want this as well. Like that kind of thing.
It's it's also, I mean, I think it's very human. I don't want to make light of it, because I think it also shows like, you think like, hey, I am I'm confident in my conviction of this thing being important, and by my better arguments and by my ability to project this idea towards this other person, that I'm in a relationship with, and we're on a respectful in a respectful situation, I will be able to convince that other person.
Yes, yeah, I think there is such an element always of like they're gonna like me enough that they decide to want this thing that they say they don't want, and that's
Yeah.
such a dangerous line of thinking. But it can work out for people, but it can also go horribly wrong.
Like hypothetically, two people fall in love, and they get married and everything works out. And in the very beginning, let's say the man is hypothetical, thinks I can convince my wife to put a beer keg in front of the house that is always full, just in case like people come,
Yeah. Yes.
and he's not able to this is a complete hypothetical. This never happened either in real life or in Second Life. Okay, I digress. Here's another one, red flag. They ask if you want to see a picture of their I'm going to censor myself, member. You can read this, folks. How to ignore how to ignore this red flag? You say to yourself, at least they asked.
Not everybody does. Not everybody does. So
Is there really? I mean, I've never been on these dating apps. I mean, this is really fascinating. So people just send dick pics all the time?
not all the time, but too often. I'll say that. They send too many. But I think a lot of the dating apps have like Hinge definitely has like a good enough algorithm that those dick pics don't like they get like kind of censored out and blurred. Twitter honestly used to blur out its media better, but I'm sure I now in my Twitter DMs get like real pictures of dicks, like not blurred at all, and I
Wow.
feel like it's just Elon has
Elon,
fired the
yeah, I
people.
mean, he knows his priorities. Fire the guy who
He
pixelated the dick pics. Oh my
right, right,
God.
right. Yeah, yeah, exactly, literally, yeah.
Shadow, if Shadow, I don't want to, Shadow, let us know. Shadow says he doesn't want to date. We're with you, Shadow, and I want to be respectful to everybody here in the audience. And if this is too much, I apologize. Please, um, we'll talk afterwards. I want to read one more here. Um, Wait a minute. No pictures at all. What was it? Pictures of them holding knives. So people
Yeah,
post pictures of
wow.
them holding knives, and then red
Yeah.
flag, how to ignore it, a chef. How nice the foie gras will be.
Yeah.
You made that
It's
up.
just
People
so
don't post
well,
pictures of themselves with knives.
I do. But I think it's just like an example of a really insane thing that someone might post, like that it's heightened.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
getting crazier and crazier.
No, I understand. The taxidermy in the garage and stuff like that. Here's a hilarious one, which again goes to the theme of commodifying relationships. I found this really hilarious. Sarah and Franco to launch their relationship online, a press release, and you have these little things in the down to business category. I'm just going to read this first paragraph here. Instagram, Sarah's smartphone, June 6, 2022. Today's Sarah J, 27, and Franco P, 26, mark the official Instagram launch of their relationship. Sarah posted a photo to her Instagram of the two of them captioned, "This goon made me dinner," and Franco retweeted Sarah 6 times in a row. Sarah says 6 retweets aren't equivalent to a post, but she's generously chosen not to pick a fight. Sarah reports that she's having her fight credits to use at Disney World. And then it goes on and on like in this press release fashion. I mean, it's yeah, it's very kind of a good illustration of the issues that I have with this concept of dating. What the
Because I
dark
feel
side,
like
as we took. Yeah.
social media is like a real thing that people care a lot about having it be like formally presented in some way, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, the whole concept is about really giving everyone a stage. I mean, this is another topic which is vast, and we can talk hours about it. I think the the havoc it wrought on society at large, with making everyone this micro celebrity and just feeding this machine all the time is really problematic, and only very few people really, I think, honestly, if they reflect, have a handle on it. I'm not saying that I have a handle on it 100%. I wish I could be off Twitter, to be honest, with you, but for me and for you,
Mhm.
I would imagine just the line of business we're in, it is necessary, but it's, I think, really important to keep it, be very disciplined about its use.
Definitely. And yeah, yeah.
Here you have a segment, the what fights mean, and I found this hilarious. Your partner never replaces the last roll of toilet paper, and the question is, are you fighting about A, shared responsibility for the apartment, or B, the word roll is actually really triggering for you because it's a homophone for role, which you're not getting as an actress, I guess. Or I mean, very good. um
I think, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I just feel like that's one where it's like, depending on what you're sensitive about, every fight is going to be something huge. You know?
Yep.
Like it's impossible. Like your fights, you can fight about truly anything if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, but I really never realized that I have that issue with the role, and I'm not an actor, but if it would be a toilet paper gig, I would be
Hmm.
triggered. I would be triggered. Here's another one. Your partner comments that it's raining. Are you fighting about A, nothing, this isn't a fight, or B, how they don't respect you or your newfound success, not even the tiniest bit? You're more than just a voice of your generation, of our generation. As a podcast host, you provide the most valuable service available. You remind subscribers what day of the week it is, and you matter.
I just feel like podcast hosts don't get enough credit. That's my official take.
Oh, I read that in the subtext in your book. There's another line in there where you say, "This podcast is made possible by my mother who is supporting this lifestyle."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I only recently started my first podcast, and I don't feel like I get enough credit for it, even though it's, yeah,
There's
yeah,
work, and
yeah.
I will subscribe. Please let us know what is the name of the podcast,
Just
and people subscribe right now.
raising questions. Please subscribe. It's brand new, but we've gotten pretty good downloads so far, and I think people will like it. I hope people will like it.
I will like it. I know how hard it is to get recognition. Speaking of recognition, because podcast, I mean, now you're adding podcast. How do you do this is an aside, but you're also a working stand-up comedian. And like I said before we went on air, uh, I've never really interviewed a stand-up comedian, and I'm in awe of their ability to memorize, but also their ability to take rejection. I mean, rejection is, I know a lot of actors, and if they don't get, they don't get callbacks and stuff like that. I mean, we all know that that's tough, but it's more visceral with stand-up comedians. Talk a little bit about your your day job, if you will, about like dealing with rejection. And this could go from a joke that you felt very confident about bombing, or people being hostile, or nobody showing up.
Yeah, I think that it's like nobody showing up, but also in like a grander way of like my whole career. Like, can just go months without hearing anything from anybody, and that's so depressing. Like, yeah, there is some element of like feeling totally invisible, like the industry. And I try not to focus on the industry anymore. I try to honestly, like, even though social media is
Wait,
so
that's a
toxic,
call. Are you talking about a callback for like a booking at a club, or nobody showing up
yeah,
in the?
it could be anything. Like if I'm applying, well, no, I mean nobody showing up in kind of like a metaphorical way, like my emails not being responded to, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like, um, just going like months without any career related news, I feel like is what becomes so hard about a comedy career. It's not
Yeah.
really getting a rejection, because at least when you get a rejection, someone has responded to you. It's the like time before that I feel like really can like get to me.
Right. And when
Yeah.
something happens in the club, uh, when a joke really does not fly at all, or doesn't work,
Mhm.
how do you deal with
Kind
that?
of like, no, that rolls right off me. I think it's like feeling like ignored almost.
Hmm. This is the Second Life
Yeah.
Book Club. Ginny Hogan is the guest. My name is Draxtor Dupre, and if the camera can go to the side here a little bit, I just want to pan over these illustrations, which are really, really cool.
Yeah, the book had some beautiful. The illustrations are awesome.
Beautiful illustrations. Now, who made these illustrations? I don't
There's
have
several
them
different people, but I'm sorry to say that I can't off the top of my head name them. But there's a different person for the cover than for
here.
like the
Designed
inside.
by Maggie Edelman and cover art by Nubia
Yeah.
Navarro. And we'll put that in the YouTube descriptions. But here on the side, if the camera can pan over it, it's really cool. These chapter titles and the whole art is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm looking here at the local chat. Caddy says they're Instagram officials. You got to repost that, folks, because I don't know the context. Um, Angelica is saying, why not just hide the toilet paper and put your headphones on? Ah, interesting. With your roommate. Um, let's see here. I'm scrolling through the comments. Bunny McCloud says, I got a whole collection, but none asked for, but just received. Please be specific about this. And somebody says they're remembering the
Yeah.
prank with yellow. I don't know what that means, Ginny. Maybe I'm slow.
I don't either. Remembering the prank.
The prank with the yellow
Yeah.
ducks. Please be specific.
Yeah, I would love to know more.
Okay, let's make sure that the camera grabs these illustrations on the right side here. Meantime, we're going to have a little reading today, with different roles, and this is a hilarious reading where I actually have someone reading the female part of Tanya for us. She's coming on stage. Her name is Maddie Oatsmill. And this is another one along the lines of, I guess, in the category of dating being very, I don't know, unromantic and strategic, I guess, right? Set this up for us a little bit, please. Ginny, what is the story behind Eric and Tanya? They're together, and they're not
They're
living together.
together and they're together and they're debating whether or not to move in together. So it's kind of about what it's like to live together in like New York City in the year 2023. What I would say is like the plot of this one.
they've been together for a very long time, so this has to do with a little bit sort of anxiety to move on, to commit, or the lack of commitment. But it's a reality that, I mean, this is there's nothing wrong with that. People When people get married, they get a lot of tax advantages, right?
Yeah,
So
that's true. They're definitely, yeah.
so do you feel
Very
like,
tax.
I guess the question, are you a romantic person that when it comes to these logistical things, you feel like that takes away, that kind of destroys the romance, or are you can you kind of compartmentalize these things?
I'm definitely not romantic. I think I don't. I'm so like pessimistic about relationships that I don't even really think about the future.
Oh,
I would say it's my, yeah. I try to
oh,
think about the future as little as possible because it feels like it just becomes too hard to do anything, I guess.
you're so young, Ginny. How come?
I don't know. I'm romantically pessimistic. I just feel like I've gone through like a series of I just like can't get my hopes up anymore.
Right. I mean, I can completely understand that, and I empathize with that. And before we go to the enactment of that scene, actually, I wanted to ask you this before, because you wrote that you started writing this book in March 2020, as you say in the book, and another thing occurred around that time that we are all kind of aware of. It's called COVID. And how was that, writing this book in that period?
Yeah.
I mean, that must have been
Mm.
really tough. I mean, it's so funny, but it has this dark undertone. And now that you're saying that you're frankly quite pessimistic about all these things, um, how was it writing it in this period of lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't know if I really attached the idea that lockdown made me pessimistic. I was in a relationship at the time, and definitely during the time when I wrote the book, it was like a good relationship. But yeah, I think I was just kind of like I think maybe the book becomes more like fantastical. Like I go into other worlds a lot because I was like locked inside my house, if that makes sense. Like that, I think could
Yeah.
be kind of like an effect of COVID.
And you're going into other worlds with the stories as well, with these little short stories in there as well. So the book
Kind
helped
of,
you.
yeah. I think it helped. Yeah, I'm really glad that I had a book deal because I think that I would have really been feeling sort of screwed otherwise. It just really helped me like get out of my head.
The relationship, uh, I mean, you say that in the book it broke up. Did it break up because of COVID, or did COVID make apparent issues more visible?
I think COVID made apparent issues more visible. I think it broke up because of time. It was a relationship that had kind of run its course, which I can't say about all of my relationships. That one, I think, that one did run its course. So I don't really have like regrets about it because it kind of felt like we really like took it as far as it could go.
Now, as a
Yeah.
52-year-old virtual worlder, now I feel like I want to kind of cheer you up, Ginny, that it gets better.
Mhm. Thank you so much. How did you meet your partner, your wife?
I met her at left-wing radio station KPFK in North Hollywood, and where I was doing the engineering the evening news, and she was reading the morning news. And somebody told me that she was a
Mm.
lawyer, and at the time my car was stolen, and the police didn't give me a refund, so I had legal issues. Um, and my pickup line was, "Hey, you're a lawyer. Can you help me? I have issues with the LAPD." She rolled
Yeah,
her
it's a
eyes
great
and
pickup
walked
line.
away. Yeah.
How did it turn into a romance?
Well, the second part was that I was recording her, and in my German way, I said, "Nein, you have to say this again. Take two." And
Really
then
funny.
I have to ask her. Actually, this is a good question. Why in the beginning it was really I think I came across as a total jerk um, for a little bit.
I
I
think
mean,
sometimes people are charmed by a jerk, as was probably what happened.
I think 20 years later said not so much anymore. Would be nice if you changed. No, I don't know. I mean, it's a real big issue. The other issue that, and uh, every story is different. I mean, I was 29. I had a lot of failed relationships prior, and I have no idea why this one worked out. Could have gone very differently. One of the things that you touch upon in this book, which I actually find is related to this, and sorry, Maddie, we're going to do the reading in a bit, but what I want to know from you is what do you think? And you hinted at the book. Why do we in society almost I don't know, vilify people who are not vilify people who are not in relationships? Why do we it's we look at people at it has to do with age, like if, at a certain age, and you hint at it a little bit. I mean, I think one of the things is that with women, it's obviously there's more pressure because society and their parents are like, you got to find someone to breed, essentially. Sorry to be so crass, but why do you think in this sort of normative society that we live in, it's so frowned upon to not have a relationship?
I think it's like I think there's an element of Stockholm syndrome. I think that relationships are really hard, and people want to. It's almost like having kids, where it's like I think people want to believe that some like indescribable good to it, and therefore everyone else should want to have it. But I think that there are a lot of people who choose not to be in relationships so that they can live their life more on their own terms. And like I mean, I've been in so many relationships, and you give up a part of yourself every time, and it's just but you get something too. So it's like it's a trade off, and I think it offends. I think people want to believe that it's depressing to choose not to make that trade off, but I don't think it is.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's kind of what I would say.
I mean, as someone who is in a relationship and I'm happy with the way my life worked out, sounds so bad, like it's over. I don't think it's over, but the choices worked out. I hate the fact that we judge people that way. That it's
Yeah.
it's often like, oh, look at this guy that I went to high school. Oh, I went to my high school reunion. Can you believe that John XYZ still is not married, or Susan is twice divorced, and these kind of things, um and and that people who choose to be single are looked down upon like that.
Yeah. I think it's like not understanding that not everyone wants to make the same life choices, basically.
Yeah, I guess that's how you
And it's
define
viewed as
normative.
someone who like can't find a partner as opposed to someone who chooses not to have a partner.
Stockholm syndrome is that's actually really good because it's also like really like, we did it. We stuck it out. It's almost like somebody like, yeah, my husband beat me for 30 years, but I'm still alive. I mean, come on. Not everything is wine and roses. Is it maybe a little bit of is there some jealousy maybe in there as well?
Um, I think totally. Yeah. And I think it's like relationships have a lot of bad things that people don't talk about because they feel like if they talk about it, they'll be pressured to like leave their partner, which they may or may not want to do. And so I think that people kind of like pretend that they're better than they are, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, people put on veneer for the outside all the time. And
Exactly, that
then
kind of
they
thing.
have
Yeah.
to justify their life choices, and at some point, especially when you go to your high school reunion, folks, I don't know if you had this experience, we go to 10, 20, 30 years or whatever. uh it's really all just parading. I mean, it's Facebook in real life in a way. It's all like, oh, look,
Mm.
my choices, and it worked out really well, and it's just that's my experience. It's a parade of people kind of putting on an act. But anyway, I digress. Let's do a reading here. We're doing a reading of this scene between Eric and Tanya, and they're going the next step, and it's called an unfortunately realistic move-in talk. And Ginny, if I may ask you to to read these stage directions, please,
Yes. Okay.
and go right ahead.
Had it. Bedroom is dimly lit, and a towel seems to be the current stand-in for a rug. The bed appears to be full-size, but it could conceivably be a twin, or possibly one of those in-between type beds they make for children or grown men who act as such. Clothes are strewn all over the floor. It's unclear whether the items are clean or dirty, but what is clear, Eric picks his outfits off of the rug. He's rummaging through shirts while Tanya sits on the bed.
Hey, babe. We should talk.
Talk? You mean about what happened at the strip club? I said sorry, but how was I supposed to know what a lap dance was?
No, about that other thing. My lease is up at the end of the month.
Eric looks up, confused, like a deer in headlights.
Wait, but don't you need a lease for living there?
Yeah, but I was thinking I could. You know. I don't even have a kitchen.
Do you really want to move back in with your parents?
That's not what I meant.
Eric returns to rummaging through his clothing. He seems to be looking for a sock to match the white one he's holding.
Okay, you know how I pay $3,300 a month to live in a shoebox? And you pay $459,033 a month to live in an even smaller shoebox.
Ah, I love New York City.
Same. But there's a way we could get a slightly larger shoebox, and each only pay, like $3,000 a month. Wouldn't that be better? Eric, I feel ready to take the next step, to have an apartment with a window. Eric, I like you so much and my apartment has mold in it. I think we've been dating long enough that it could be time to ask the question, should we move in together? For logistical reasons only?
Eric is stoic. He turns back to the clothes on his floor.
I thought that might be where this conversation was headed.
You mean because I texted you, can we talk about moving in together for logistical reasons only?
But we've only been together for 7 years.
Remember what I said when you asked me that same question, before we decided you could
Oh crap, sorry, Tanya. If we do this, if we move in together, will I have to pick up my clothes up off the floor?
have a drawer at my apartment?
Oops, Tanya messed up here. Okay, sorry, let's do this again. Community theater is so much fun. Eric says, if we do this, will I have to pick up my clothes off the floor?
Remember what I said when you asked me that same question, before we decided you could have a drawer at my apartment?
Yes.
And look what happened, it turned out fine.
Okay, I'm in. Okay, big round of applause for Ginny who wrote this, for me who I cut the best parts out of it, and Maddie who performed as Tanya.
So fun.
Now, dating in your 20s versus your 30s. This is another little excerpt here. It's a little chart that you put together, and this is fun in the scheduling department here. Scheduling, when you're in your 20s, scheduling goes like this. Do you want to meet at a bar downtown? Anytime is good for me. Scheduling in your 30s, I'll see you at 6:45 at the Fog on 9th and Spring.
Yeah.
If you're not there by
Yeah.
6:47, I'm leaving. My bedtime is 10 p.m. on the dot. You know, Ginny, I confess this was me in my early 20s. I was like that.
Yeah. Yes. No, I
You
think
too?
it's yeah. It's I mean, I think people just had so much more energy. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
I guess what I'm saying is the anal retentive scheduling person that you describe in your 30s, I was like that in my 20s. Is that normal or is that just German?
it's normal, totally. Yeah. I think I'm a like lower energy person, I guess, or higher energy, kind of depending on how you look at it.
Is the term high maintenance and low maintenance still used?
Yeah, totally, yeah.
Is that something that people use when they text at some point? Are they asking, is that kind of like something you could ask someone that you have been texting for a little bit, like, would you self-describe as high, or do your friends describe you as high maintenance?
Yeah, I think it's like kind of a sexist term. I learned recently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I, li-
Yeah, I learned recently that it came from When Harry Met Sally, which I never would have known.
I had no idea. Okay, so it was used in a sexist way back in that movie. I watched that movie.
Yeah, I
Huh.
didn't know. Or it's just like it's one of those things where it's like, if something only ever applies to women, it's probably sexist. Like, men don't get described as high maintenance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Although I would say I know a lot of men who are high maintenance, but that's true. Oh my God. I used that term in a song way back in the day. Ugh, please don't cancel me. Speaking of old movies, um, You've Got Mail is a movie. And what did you do with these movies? Explain real quick because I brought it here up on the board. Maybe the camera can zoom into this board. Um, you have these movies and how the movies would be dealt with in texting in a dating app, right?
Yeah, like like what the characters would behave like on a dating app, and it's just sort of like highlighting how insane some of the movies are from the perspective of, or maybe highlighting how insane online dating is from the perspective of these movies. Or honestly, it's probably like a little bit of both.
Absolutely. I think you captured both. Some of these movies are insane, constructed, and really dumb, and the same is probably true for talking on a dating app. So let the camera zoom in directly in the You Got Mail because I mean this is the only movie that I've actually seen. And this dialogue is, Joe, how's your day? Kathleen, not good. I work at a cute little bookstore called Borders, and Amazon is trying to put us out of business. Joe, damn sorry. Kathleen, they're evil. They're so evil. They don't care about books at all. They only care about delivering things in like 2 seconds and not paying workers. I don't know if they can actually do it in 2 seconds. What? Can we talk about something else? Do you like miniature poodles? Is Joe your real name? Uh, what's your last name? Send me your LinkedIn. What? You're actually Jeff Bezos? I mean, that is hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, well, what's funny about You've Got Mail is that it's like the idea that Barnes and Noble was like the big bad guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Now,
once upon a time.
yeah, it's really some things age and some things age well.
And some things
Ex-
just age, it's true.
Exactly. Now, a couple of more, and we're wrapping a little earlier today because very grateful for your time. Oh yeah, this thing I want to ask you about the point of holding hands in public. You're making fun of people
Yeah.
holding hands in public? Is that
Yeah,
your
yeah. Oh
unromantic
no,
self that you just disclosed here in front of all of us?
I think I just find it impractical. I don't think it's bad. People should hold hands if they want to. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think it's bad. I just think it's impractical.
God, Ginny, you're so unromantic. It's unbelievable.
I am unromantic.
But you're also straightforward. You're not you're not selling you're not buying we're not buying the cat in the bag.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Yeah, I am straightforward.
Avalier here on YouTube says society puts a lot of pressure and importance to people getting married and having kids when in reality not everyone is happy following that. Absolutely. And there's a lot of sort of material analysis about uh, kind of that pressure in normative society. Um, the analysis being that new workers have to be produced in that paradigm, in that kind of normative heterosexual paradigm, and that is really the main reason in capitalism. I mean, I think there is absolutely something to that, but it's also a little bit more nuanced than that.
Yeah.
AJ McDowell says in the local chat, I'm slower than he is, talking about her spouse. The hand holding helps him tow me along in his wake. AJ, but
Yeah.
that could be misco. I mean, this is also a little, patriarchal, I guess, if you look at it from the outside when you see a man sort of towing a woman, right? Ange-
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
Angelica says, "I'm not a child. I don't need him to hold my hand in public." That's a great point. I actually do agree with the with the what you said, Ginny, that it's impractical. It really is, and then you're sweating and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, yeah.
You have a bit about
I think it's nice. If people want to do it, they should do it. But I do think it's impractical.
you have this bit about out of office replies on dating apps, and here's one that says um, automatic reply, working on a new project for the next 3 weeks. Dating slash fixing a 37-year-old DJ who considers
Yeah,
texting while driving an art and
yeah.
will not be responding as quickly as usual. For faster response, try me on LinkedIn or use proper grammar. What is the worst date, Ginny? Was it that DJ or was it a skateboarder?
Probably both. There's a lot of overlap.
Careful the microphone, please speak into the mic. Say that again, please.
Sorry. I think my computer's also dying. I think there's a lot of overlap between the two.
DJs and skateboarders?
Yeah. That would be my guess. But yeah.
What is so wrong with them? Are they man children? Is the cliche
They're
correct?
easy to make fun of. They're just easy to make fun of,
Uh-huh.
I would say, is the thing.
Now, a couple more things and questions, and then we'll wrap a little bit early today. Let's see here. I have a few things that I must not forget. This wonderful passive-aggressive text. Hey, happy Mother's Day to your mom. I'm in a relationship now, though. Please don't get the wrong idea. I just didn't want to disrespect your mom, whom I never met. What is the biggest no-no, Ginny, that people have done in connection with their family? Is it that, and you write a little bit about this in the book, that dinners are sort of mandatory. That's a big point of friction in relationships that I know, where you got to go to the in-laws every Saturday or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's like if one person's family is kind of like prioritized above the others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's kind of no. I think my laptop is very close to dying. Can you still hear me?
We can still hear you. You're now back in the
Okay.
cathedral. If it dies, then so be it. We had a good time, and we know
Okay.
only your
Yeah.
avatar died, but you're still alive.
I will still be alive. Yeah.
You're still alive, and you're still dating and using apps.
Yes. Definitely.
This you have a bit here, my group text chain, when I say I'm not looking for a relationship. I put this up on the board. Camera, please zoom in. Now, did something like this really happen to you? Basically, what's happening here is you're having a group text and you make it very clear in this group text that you are not looking for a relationship, but your friend, Caitlin here, name probably hopefully changed, wants to set you up with someone. And so people are not really listening to you. They still want to kind of, as the German word goes, I know Angelika here's German here in the audience, verkuppeln. Die wollen dich verkuppeln. Did something like this happen to you? That you're very, very clear on, oh my God, she disappeared. My friends, she disappeared. Oh my God. Well, you know what? Then I think I have to read this, and I encourage everyone here in the audience to. I hope we're still live on the audio. Yes, we are. Here in Second Life, share your dating story. So let me put this out here. Your worst dating story in a nutshell. Don't be too long, but you can, you can type, and I'll read it, and I'll give you a little bit time, and I'm going to read this from Ginny's book because I find that hilarious. So the camera needs to zoom in a little bit. My group text chain when I say I'm not looking for a relationship. So Caitlin says, Gee, can I set you up with my friend Matt? He's single. What's he like? I've met Matt. He's single. He's neither married nor engaged nor raising kids. He had a partner for a while, but now he doesn't. He's super single, like so single it's hard to imagine him in a relationship. He's perfect for you. Is he cool? He's single. Do you know if he's looking for a relationship? Yeah. He said that. Well, he's not in a relationship. He's looking. And then Vicky comes in this group chat and she just says LOL. And then what? Never mind. Just grateful for this thread, says Vicky. Well, thanks, but I think I'll pass on Matt. Why? I said he's single and you're single. I don't see the issue. Don't you want to be fixed? You mean fixed up? No, I mean fixed. I actually like being single. Vicky says again, LOL. What? And now 2 hours later, Caitlin, the matchmaker, says, wait, what? I had to digitally detox because my boyfriend said I seemed scattered? You're so lucky to have a guy around to fix you. Speaking of, I can text Matt. I want to set you up, G. You'll like him. Next page. You go, girl. I love this plan. Who was that directed at? I just asked Matt, you guys now have dinner plans Wednesday. Okay, girls, next Thursday to debrief. And she says, I like that I get to watch whatever TV show I want. I like that I get my whole bed to myself. It helps me sleep better. I like that I set my own schedule and I don't have to deal with someone else's friend or family. I'm not lonely. And it's not that I never want to date. It's just not what I'm looking for right now. Oh, the conversation has moved on. The dangers of sending a long text to a group chat. Has G lost her mind? Oh my God, I meant to send that just to Sarah. So annoying how when you search someone's name in iMessage, the group chat comes up before the one-on-one conversation. No worries, but I haven't lost my mind. I'm busy. I just got promoted. What's the joy in getting a promotion when you have no one to share it with? I'm sharing it with you guys. And anyways, it goes on and on like this. I mean, hilarious. Let's see if we have if we have some stories in the group chat in the second live chat. I don't want to read this whole thing. It's completely hilarious. The book is I'm More Dateable Than a Plate of Refried Beans and Other Romantic Observations. Ginny Hogan left Second Life because her laptop died. She herself is still alive on dating apps. And Shadow, a big snake, is here looking at me, staring at me, judging me. And I'm sorry, big snake, but it is what it is. Now, Dex, no story from my end. Dex is still single. Isabel's story, mine. We've been texting for 5 weeks and he hasn't arranged a date yet. He lives down the road. Isabel, that is hilarious. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I don't want to laugh at it. It's also kind of a little bit sad, to be honest. Isabel, he's not a guy ready for commitment, maybe. Ho- Isabel, do you think like if you go there, knock on his door, that he will get completely freaked out? What do you think? Oh my God. Well, he's trying to you got to push him a little bit more. I mean, I'm not putting the onus on you. I think the guy has some real issues, but they're not insurmountable. I mean, again, I'm not a doctor. Uh, I just play one in Second Life. My name is Dr. Axter. I'm not a shrink. Yeah, Isabel, if you go down the road, you'll be arrested. But have you asked him to come over? And while Isabel is answering this, Vanderveer shares her story. I had a date recently with a guy that told me his whole life story and all his problems, even with issues like suicide, abandonment, betrayal, divorce, self-harm. I listened respectfully and patiently. Then he let me know afterwards via text he didn't want a second date because we didn't laugh enough, and that was important to him, he said. Oh my God, Vanderveer. You see, this is, I mean, what Vanderveer's story is reflected in the subtext of this book too, is that some people really just want to have the date is an unpaid appointment at a shrink in a way. I mean, Ginny plays with that quite a bit in the book, I would say. And Vanderveer's story kind of illustrates that. So there's someone, and again, I'm not judging that, but that person needed to unload these stories of hard times. But there is something quite selfish about this as well, depending on the nuance of the situation. Isabel says dating is hard for both sexes. Actually, I think you have to tread without expectation too. I mean, after reading this book, I'm not sure if I find like I said, the whole dating app thing and kind of commodifying it and making it so sort of public and like you're at a store shopping. That is terrible, but I don't want to romanticize the so-called olden days. That's why I was sort of saying tongue in cheek the olden days of being at a bar drunk and then just going home with the last person that was able to still sort of stand or find the keys to their car or their apartment. Those some people kind of romanticize they the good old days, the kids don't even know. Oh, Isabel, that's how I met my ex-husband. He was the last one at the bar with the keys to the car. Isabel, that's hilarious. We should do an evening where we share all these stories. Angelica says dating is like a job application. You fill it with all the best, and then you find out you hate that job. Oh my God, and Angelica, that is pretty brilliant. Let me say this again. Angelica says here in the local chat. Oh, here comes a big story from Shadow. Hold on, let me scroll up. Angelica says dating is like a job application. You fill it with all the best, and then you find out you hate that job. Very well said. And I'm assuming, Angelica, you mean because this is applicable to the quote unquote good old days uh, and the new world, which is not completely new, but the world of digital dating and dating apps, right? So let's see here, Shadow. Pasting a story here. Let me read this, Shadow. What caused my fear or relationships and what caused me to start harassing others in relationships was I was in a relationship myself back in 2006 on the Windows messaging program called MSN Messenger. Yeah, I remember it well. And the girl threatened to have her boyfriend slaughter me. And when she found out that I was autistic and because of that become so scared of relationships, thinking that I would get murdered or something, and the girl I was dating pretended to be single. Shadow, I'm really sorry about that experience that you had. I mean, that is terrible. This is something not to joke about. And Shadow, let me just tell you, we can talk a little bit more about this when we're not streaming because I do want to know a little bit about that. What I would tell you is I hope that you can see that that was really mean and really bad, if as a joke or whatever. There's no excuse for this, but and I know that this is still with you, Shadow, but not everybody is like that. And I know how scary this is absolutely traumatizing. I'm not saying like, get over it. It's not easy to get over. Um, maybe you can do little baby steps, little snake steps to go and find that there are people who are not that mean. Um, I'm going to wrap the show. Roxy, last story here. True that with same-sex relationships, dating too. Dating can be wonderful or it can be draining, but sometimes it's easy to slip into singledom and just enjoying the freedom to do anything you want, but still appreciate nice times with friends. Personally, I enjoy my space to make my artwork and choose the level I interact with anyone. Well, good night, folks, and thank you for sharing these stories. I'm going to do the outro, and Shadow, thank you for sharing your story. And let me just tell you, it gets better. It's true. And Shadow, you will find a snake that will be the right snake for you and is not doing this kind of mean stuff and threaten you with stuff. And I'm 100% convinced. So let me just say thank you, Ginny, wherever you are. And thank you everybody for coming out today. Thank you, Kitten. Kitten on the YouTubes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Kitten is supporting this show, and without Kitten, I don't know where we would be. We couldn't afford these chairs, these wonderful chairs. I really appreciate Kitten helping out. This is the Second Life Book Club every Wednesday, as you know, at 12 o'clock Pacific time. Again, Ginny Hogan was the author today. She disappeared because her um, laptop died. Paradise in the local chat says, Drax, thanks, Drax, amusing. Somebody finds me amusing. Well, I'm gonna swipe left on that one or right. I don't even know how dating apps work. I did a video about dating apps. Wait, sorry, I gotta go out of the frame here. Second Life Book Club since April 8th, 2020. Since April 8th, 2020. Isn't that amazing? Coming up 3 years. The show is produced by yours truly, camera and sound by Isabel Sharon, avatars made by Bespoke Caravan. This Ginny avatar put together by Isabel, research by Shyla the Super Gecko and Monkey. The location is always second.live/book club. We have no tip jar today. Shyla is not here today. Shyla had a procedure at the dentist, so she's not here. Please send Shyla directly some monies if you could, and she will distribute it. That would be fantastic. Now, where was I? Here we go. Draxtor.com/SL Book Club is the URL for the show. And yeah, every Wednesday, 12 o'clock Pacific time. We have two sponsors. Bespoke Caravan, mentioned them before. They make absolutely fantastical avatars. Fantastic furries, but not exclusively. There's a big difference between furries and fantastical avatars, right? The other ad is, of course, Arden Schwartzman with his Black Forest board games. Arden makes a lot of stuff. The board games are just absolutely amazing. They're low land impact. They're completely playable. I have almost all of them. Sometimes there are little variations of existing board games, but sometimes he creates them from scratch as well, completely playable. Pauline sent me a cat Roomba. Are you kidding me? For real? Is it in my inventory? Let's see if I can put that out. God, what a bummer that I didn't even think about putting a Roomba in here. Next week, folks, next week, a amazing debut author, Mitu Sanyal. Mitu Sanyal is only the second German author, and you should not miss this one. This book is actually available in English. The name of the book is Identity or Identity. The double entendre or meaning is absolutely implied. This is an amazing book about cancel culture, about identity politics. It is absolutely hilarious. It's about everything that is going wrong, but in the most hilarious, humorous way it is depicted and examined and disseminated. Mitu Sanyal identity, her avatar is a Kali goddess, as you can see here on the image. I hope that the camera can capture this image because this avatar is amazing. We actually found it almost like this on Marketplace, and then Isabel tweaked it a little bit, and Mitu is completely happy with it. Now, this is a German author, and initially I was concerned. I was like, oh, this book is only available in Germany. No, fear not. This book is already translated in English. Look up the author and look up the description of the book. This is going to be a hilarious conversation. She's not only an author and a journalist, she's also a social scientist, so she knows that kind of stuff. And really, really, really cool. Highly recommended. I mean, I know I recommend every single show every single week, but this one I can tell is going to be special because when we did the initial meeting in Second Life, the onboarding, and Mitu was one of those guests that had such a good time she didn't want to leave. She loved the avatar, and after an hour I said, you know, Mitu, I gotta do other things. And Mitu said, me too, but I also want to stay here. forever. No, she didn't say that. But anyway, thanks everyone, and I'll see you next week right here on the Second Life Book Club. Oh, Roxy already found this book on Goodreads. Awesome. Yeah, look it up. It's hilarious. It takes jabs at all these the Jordan Petersons and all these demagogues and ridiculous people. Really kind of smashes the transphobic hate mongers and also takes a lot of pot shots at well-meaning folks because, as you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Thank you very much. I hope you guys had a good time and see you next week. Bye.